Joining me now, Conservative Party leadership candidate Kellie Leitch. Kellie Leitch, you want to talk about screening for anti-Canadian values. What specific values do you think are currently being inadequately protected?
Well, look, Evan, for myself, what I'm doing is I'm out introducing myself to our party membership and to the Canadian public. And for me, that unified Canadian identity, is about 4 items: hard work, generosity, freedom, tolerance, and with that, an equality of opportunity, particularly for our young people. And so that's what I'm talking about, a unified Canadian identity. But to be fair,
that's not what you're talking about.
We should be asking individuals.
You're talking about anti-Canadian values, and I know those are values. What are the anti-Canadian values specifically that you believe we're not doing a good enough job protecting?
Look, you're absolutely correct, Evan. It's about protecting Canadian values. And right now, we screen at the border, for example, for security purposes. We screen for income. We ask individuals if they know the history of Canada. And I don't think it's such a stretch to then ask if people believe in the equality of women, and if women have equal rights. If you have a different sexual orientation, are you respected here? So the values that I believe in, which I believe the majority of Canadians believe in, hard work, generosity, freedom, and tolerance, those values are the ones that I think that we should be so proud of, that they help build our nation, and those are what we should be talking about. Okay, but let's get specific there. Let's say someone comes and they want to become a citizen and they're Catholic, and they say, do you believe in same-sex marriage? And they say, no, I don't. Do they get in, or is that do they now have an anti-Canadian value? Well, look, Evan, I think that this is a discussion that Canadians want to have. And for myself, as I mentioned to you, there are certain values. But the great thing about this country, and what makes our country so sought after for people to come to, is that we can have a difference in priorities. We can have a discussion about that. But what's even more valuable is that we have that based in a framework of equality, that we can have differences of opinion. We, in fact, don't impose our differences of opinion on each other, and we have the tolerance to resolve those differences peacefully. So this isn't about picking and choosing how you align it. It's about protecting. You're saying all that, but when I'm trying to get you on something specific, that's all true. But I'm just wondering if this is a solution without a problem. For example, would a Catholic person who doesn't believe in same-sex marriage, which is law here, would they fail this test? Would an Orthodox Jewish person who believes that a woman needs her head covered by a wig, would they fail this test? That's the reality of what this values test would be. On those particular cases, would they pass the test? Now look, Evan, I'm not going to go point by point, issue by issue, and trivialize this issue. I think we as Canadians share a certain set of values. And I'm looking forward to having a discussion with Canadians about that. When I'm trying to get a specific answer, as you say, I'm trivializing it, but the border is about specific cases. And Ronna Ambrose was on this program saying she disagreed with you, but Michael Chong, another candidate, called this dog whistle politics. Here's the definition of dog whistle politics: a type of political speech using code words that appear to mean one thing to the general population, but have a different meaning to a targeted part of the audience. The fundamental issue is, he believes you're saying anti-Canadian values, but you're sliding away from the specifics because you're insinuating that it's targeting one group. What do you say to that? Which, people have compared to Donald Trump, how he does it. What do you say to that? Well, I think they're fundamentally false. For myself, I don't think it's intolerant to have a discussion about Canadian values that we hold dear. And I look forward to having that discussion with the other leadership candidates, as well as with my colleagues who are in the party and Canadians. You are obliged now. You can say that, and I don't think anyone disagrees with that. The problem is, by raising this, you are now obliged to say how, according to the criminal background checks that every potential citizen has to have, and the various checks, the citizenship tests where they have to study the Charter of Rights and Freedom, how are any of those values now poorly protected? In other words, what would you add to increase protection? And if you don't have an answer to that, some are going to say, see, it's really about dog whistle politics. Well, I disagree with you, and I understand why individuals may want to characterize having a thoughtful debate about our Canadian values, what makes this country strong, and the reason why individuals choose to come to this country every single day would be depicted as that. But for me, that's not what it's about. It's about talking to our party membership about what I believe in and having a discussion with them about what they think those unifying Canadian values are.
Rona Ambrose was on this program. She disagrees with you. Now, she's the interim leader
Sure.
of the party. She's been outspoken about this particular position, but she has not been outspoken, for example, about Max Bernier or Tony Clement, who's on our show, or other candidates, their views on various other issues. I have heard from some sources that your campaign team has called Rona Ambrose and complained about that, and even thought of asking her to retract. Were you upset that Rona Ambrose, who should remain neutral on this, has specifically called you out on this issue?
Well, I'm disappointed that an interim leader would engage themselves in the leadership race.
Will you file a formal complaint against, with the party leadership about what Rona Ambrose has said?
Well, my campaign's having a discussion with Rona Ambrose's office as well as with the party. We'll see where that discussion takes us. And as I mentioned before, Canada is a place where we have disagreements and we come to thoughtful resolution of them. And I'm confident that we will in this case as well.
Kellie Leitch, a pleasure to have you on Question Period as this Conservative leadership race heats up. Thank you so much.
Thanks.